But okay, let's see what happens. Um, there's that. There's that. That is that. Okay. Anyway, we're pretty much. I have it rolling.
Yeah, they're all.
Yes.
All right, I guess to introduce this. Hi, I'm Michael at FJ514. That means probably nothing to most people, but hey, if you know, you know. Introduce yourself.
I'm Matt, and that's this is this get kind of awkward though because it's like I don't know what to
Because
say.
but like having to talk to an audience, or like let's just say an imagine, or there is an audience, and it's like, hi, people. We're
I
both
think
just
I feel
like,
like I do have to would have to develop a little bit better of a like introduction. Maybe something that I could start with a simple, a little more. I gotta think about my introduction more. I think a little bit.
but like people are gonna figure us out over time. I guess it's like that's something. I don't know what else am I gonna say? We're both introverts. We're both.
Yes. So it's like Matt, I'm
Yeah,
introvert here. See, the thing is like you know more that I just know like I can say like I'm an INTP, but I don't even know what that means. Like so I know part of what that means, but that's about it. It's like
we're still exploring that.
yes.
So
So
yeah, I know the two likeliest pairs of people are like what's that? It's that high TI like, in between.
I guess it's because we both have pretty high TI. That's why we're like sometimes marry.
Yours is obviously more higher than mine, but I do.
Obviously,
Yes, obviously.
what way? Like, what do you? And I'm actually trying to figure that out. Like, what about that is actually?
I don't want to go off into another tangent about that. We could do that later off screen.
I'm just rolling with it. That's why I'm like,
There's a little order to this. So, like, what is it? Okay, what's the meaning of it? Let's get back to the topic. What's the meaning behind the title acceptance for our channel?
okay. What was it? I was trying to think about my topics of acceptance. I was kind of going into this idea because you had you were starting to come up with ideas. What you was go ahead, you can go ahead and start talking about. Let's see. Okay, when I think of acceptance, I'm just thinking about more from like a because I think like it's like I know people can like, tend to they'll talk about accepting themselves sometimes, but sometimes it's hard to accept others. I think even for them though, like even there's all this talk, there's like things about. I think if it comes, and I think the biggest thing about acceptance to me is just like I just kind of get an idea like how do you accept others' differences as well?
Mhm.
Maybe like
Right.
how do you that how is it are you able to do that like without like reacting to it necessarily? Can a neg you know yeah
I feel like even with that, like the reaction, like that's okay to have a reaction.
mm,
Like, yes, you're not going to agree with certain things. Yes, it might stab at like a personal, um, like your own personal thoughts, beliefs, or feelings, or it could be like an ego attack, stuff like that. But like I was saying, like at least what I was originally saying back whenever we were discussing over this topic, was, like acceptance of yes, people there, and like I guess my main thing was for the fact of like accepting that. Because I was getting into that subject of between like good and evil and acceptance, like, oh, to what extent are you going to accept that? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's not what I meant. Like, whenever talk about acceptance, it's as acceptance of yes, I have these thoughts, yes, I have these opinions, and I've thought through. That doesn't make them necessarily good or evil. It depends on how you act and what you do with them. And
and I think
accept
like
so
that's what yeah
that within your like here comes a self acceptance, like accepting that within yourself.
mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a part of you. Doesn't mean you have to act on it. Like we have, I guess, societally termed and not just societal, but even through like evolution and our terms of like all this internal feel of like what is good, evil, accept like and what people are willing to accept. Like there is some structure behind that. And so I would say challenge that narrative, but maybe it's not all wrong, or maybe it is wrong and like you have a better way or right way of thinking about it. But like again, that's up to interpretation and you do you at the end of the day. Just don't kill anybody for the safety.
yeah
There's certain things like yeah, don't kill anybody. Don't.
I think where my
Okay.
mind's going right now, and I'm trying to figure out where it's pinning into. I think when you're talking about like good and evil, I think word keeps coming to mind of boundaries, where that's like
Yes.
it's okay to have
Yes.
boundaries and not agree with, but you can also still like
I just didn't want it to get that far to the point where like we're questioning that. So like let's just say it is even those really dark
mm,
thoughts and stuff. I feel like what's that? There are certain subjects that seem taboo because yes, they are difficult and people don't actually want to talk about them, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about
yes,
them because how are you gonna like heal or solve those issues or gain understanding? Like I'm not saying what's that? Go hug on a pedophile or something like that, but like what's what's behind that? What's that driving for? Like you need to understand it before you just have this whole witch trial of is that bad? Yes, like that's innocence being tampered with, but it doesn't mean you should. Man, this is a real segue into conversation, but goddamn. All right.
world
But no,
problem solving, we're solving world issues in one go.
I know, but like this is the point of this channel was like, what's that? There are difficult subjects, but what was it? I think it was Joan Rivers that said if we can't laugh at all the like pain or suffering of the world, how else are we going to heal through it? How else are we going to work through it? We're not going to make this world any better by just like keeping it quiet or like you can't talk about that because like it'll offend somebody. Life is offending. I'm sorry, but like who is that term? Life sucks. So yes,
Yeah,
it does.
I mean,
But it didn't have to be like what was it? We'll get off on that subject later, but like create your own heaven and stuff like that. So like
yeah, I have lots of
it,
thoughts on that one.
exactly. We'll go into that.
Yeah,
Oh, let me add that to the list of like future topics. So let's see.
well, I think we already have a highlight reel.
Oh yes, good man.
I
This
just
is
thought about. I was watching what's going on there. I'm like, okay, there we go.
okay.
Like there's a highlight reel already. It's like a rant about something or about that. I'm like, okay.
Exactly. It is two introverted intuitives going on a rant about whatever pops in our head, and
The
it's
thing is going to be interesting because as we go through this, it's going to be like I'm going to see something happening. And I'm like I got to hold myself together throughout this and like save this for later. This thought goes later. It's like
I know it's the, like keeping organization, I guess, to this thought stream. And for those out there who don't know anything about extroverted intuition, just the like and paired with like NI or introverted intuition, just the bouncing all over the place.
yes.
So
So it's like. Hmm.
it's fine.
So we were talking about let's talk about so acceptance. We're talking about the deeper like darker stuff that um, yeah, because like I don't know. I think where am I at on that? Like, well, because like so it's like I think it's okay. Like I think the thing is openly talking and being able to openly like allowing people to have acceptance. There's a lot of people that openly talk about things, and you can actually start to get into figuring out um, logic behind like some of these actions or thoughts too,
Yes.
because and like because like if it stays inside like your own world or the other person's world, it'll stew in there, and then like the only thing that can happen is if it gets rejected, a lot of people's egos will just say, well, then it's just because they know I'm right or I know I'm right, and like they get pushed into a hole where they're just
Right.
because like no one's really able to hear it or hear the thought process. So I think there's something about vent. That's why I do think even like venting is very important because if you can't do that, let's just like I know this is going to be getting very big in the house, but this is where like things even like when people like try to push people off into certain their own worlds and stuff and try to exclude people from like society and stuff, for example. That's
Mhm.
how it starts to get. This is how you start to create pockets of things that could go bad in the world because
Yeah.
now it starts to start to create like echo chambers and things like that. But like
Right.
being able to overall accept overall thoughts, to only hear them, and you can kind of overall you can start working through it. And I think also tone matters a lot when you're doing it as well, and like how you handle it because without being super reactionary. to it, like what's being said. You can still have your own thoughts, like, oh, I don't really like this. This is not something that resonates with me, but let's at least like listen to it and see what happens with them. Like, let them talk or whatever. And
Right.
yeah,
If you don't agree with it, you can cry, you can get angry, and anything. But like the point is, like, what's that? It's also an emotional regulation within yourself. So, like, okay, I don't agree with this, but this is a reality and acceptance of others for differing beliefs, opinions, thoughts, and that's okay. Like, again, like tying back to this like right and wrong. Like, I struggle with that one. Is it right or wrong? Like, I don't know, and I'm always willing to feign ignorance. Like, maybe I don't know, or like I'm okay with being wrong,
yes,
but it's not an issue. Like, because if I'm wrong, well, then teach me. Like, what am I missing? And if I'm missing
yes,
something, that's fine. Like, oh, thank you. Like, that takes away a certain level of stress of unknowns. It's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, I'm wrong. That's perfect. And there's a right answer. Perfect. Like,
yeah. And it doesn't like it
already
just like you guys
on
like
my head.
and like things like acceptance. Like, it doesn't mean like you have to accept. Like, say you have a friend that's like stealing from you or something. Like, you don't have to just accept that. I mean, you can accept. You try to figure out where they're coming from, but you don't have to. You can have boundaries still, like for
Yeah.
that. That's what I mean. You still have a boundary. You can't just like let that keep. If that's gonna harm you too, that's gonna harm you. You can't just accept that
Right.
someone's stealing from you. That's gonna hurt a lot because it's a trust thing then at that point. But like,
Right. Well, and the acceptance, I think, in that situation would come after the fact of like, what's that? Like, let's just say you could handle that situation and like you can still maintain the friendship intact because like breaking trust and stealing from somebody that could often end a friendship like right then
yes,
and there. And so the acceptance part would be like, let's just say like, okay, they said they're sorry, they won't do it again. Like, if you had the strength within you to be able to like, okay, I accept that it happened, but I'm not gonna let this determine the future
yes.
outcome. Now, if they do it again, all right, come on now, that's not like,
Yes, I think my perspective on that is like I'm willing to see, like at that point I'm willing to give the space to, like talk, like see what their thought process or why, like maybe whether they were think what was going on, maybe there's something going on further down that's leading to this, maybe something in the past that they think is okay, or
yeah,
there's a lot of that could be explored. And like I think the main thing, like in that, try to let them be able to talk about it, but it's also like as far as where my boundaries would be, that's where still okay at boundaries because they're not able to like express it, or they're not able to give you a good reason, or they're not even willing to like try to dive into that thought process. And you got that's something you still gotta that would be more challenging to work with, that kind of situation, because then it's like
mhm.
you don't, now it's like now it's like it is, you're dealing with an awareness, but it's like if they're willing, I don't know, maybe there's I wonder what you do, how would you try to open up, see like how maybe someone that's kind of, that's an interesting thought, like what would be holding them back from that, from wanting to go through that thought process with you or something maybe.
Well, but that would be that acceptance because what is it? Um, in a situation like that, you'd be projecting like, I haven't been accepted before, therefore,
Mm-hmm.
why would I shared this problem with somebody? Why would they still accept it? Like, would I even accept it within myself? Like, if they were willing to solve that
Right.
issue with that I don't even know if, like, I know you get it, but I don't know if that like came out logical enough or like my thought process isn't all
No,
there.
I
But
don't think that. I like, in my opinion, I think it's like, yeah, it comes out how it comes out.
uh, but yeah, no, it's usually like in that case, it's usually internalized. So it's like whether that came from like neglect of needs from like past, and like I don't expect anybody to like understand or accept that part. Which I feel like most people do that, and it's just their inner critic, like being overly hard on themselves. Whereas if they were given the same question, they'd be like, "Oh no, I totally like would help or do something." But
There's
that's
also maybe
different.
like past things or how people treated them in the past. Like, how can anybody else treat them differently than that way it's always been treated?
It's
Um,
that harming narrative in the head.
because like The interesting thing I've had, and it's not really have like in my life, whether it's like whether it's like not even dealing with like stealing or anything, but it's like but just like if when anytime there's been I've noticed like sometimes I think I've noticed like I don't know if it's the scariness comes from like I wonder if it comes from childhood because sometimes even when you own up to things, you still get in trouble for them, and you're not able to work through them like why the how.
Right, like somebody should have explained or like try to reach you at your level to like, this is why you're in trouble, or like for this, this, and
Because
this.
there's
But
times like
that would take an emotionally like intelligent parent or person to like try to explain that on a level that whether that child or teen or like young adult would understand. It would take a lot more. And remember whenever I was talking about like with children how they internalize more because
yes,
they have like all they have mentally or like in their faculties to go off of is their internal preconception of what reality is so far. It's that it's all
yes,
in the ego in that younger age, so it struggles with like what's that trying to be objective about a situation because everything's
yeah.
internalized.
Because I know from my perspective, when I've had dealt with say like issues of like that, like where it comes to like owning up to things, I felt like
Mhm.
when a lot of mine came from that part because I started interestingly enough, whenever I started to like, it's like what I don't have like. There's been times like even at work when I did something that's just like, or I got like maybe I didn't do something the right way or something like that, or got in trouble, and like instead of trying to make an excuse for why I did it, I've found that sometimes it's with I've either been lucky or not. If I just straight up just say, I don't know why this happened, but I'm sorry about this. If I just own up to it and take responsibility for it, I've noticed that like my managers go way easier on me. Actually, they're like almost like, okay, let's work with this, and like they're like not even like getting like super like. At least the ones I've had. Not everybody's like that. None of some places are like way more strict like that. I've been
Mhm.
grateful for that, but like, and I feel like that's how I would react to things though. Like in a normal situation, like if someone's coming to me like that, it's like they're going, oh, so there's an awareness of what happened. Let's talk. Let's see where this
Well,
goes. So,
that builds rapport within
mhm.
people. Yeah,
And so I'm just, I
rapport.
guess I'm thinking about like that's kind of, I don't know. It's like this may be like a subtopic, like I said, but just like I think it's something about how,
Well, like I feel like this whole conversation that we just had, like, was segueing into like again that other topic we're gonna go over,
mhm,
one of like attachment styles,
yeah,
because like we start bringing in like the parent or like the childhood and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, all of that affects whether it's
yeah,
not just it's not just close relationships, it's any relationship and how you act,
you're right, yes,
or even platonic, business related. Like I don't think people realize how much their relationships actually impact them. And I had to learn this too because whenever I was talking to like my therapist, she would always like harp back on like the relationship at hand, especially if I was in distress or something. She'd always want to go back and like, why leave the like I want to fix or focus on like what's happening now. She's like, but you don't get the bigger picture of like what's actually stemming from this, what's causing the distress, what's
mm,
I
yeah,
get it. Oh,
yeah,
that's why I get scared and I'm not like
yeah. I mean, like personal relationship stuff would definitely affect a hand. Is that where you're
yeah.
kind of going with that? A personal relationship would
Well,
have the wrong
well, I would just
impact.
say like how much your actual like childhood and like your initial relationships growing up and how much they impact your current relationships and how and like the people don't realize how much any relationship in their even adult life actually impacts their life because it's going to manage like how you think, what your gonna actions are gonna because we all as much as I would like to say that like what's that? No, I operate to the beat of my drum. Yes, I do, but that to an extent, like we're still held down by the thoughts and perceptions of others, whether it's survival or like you still got to get along with people. Things have to be done to operate in polite society. I'm trying to think where I was going to go with that thought. I had a much deeper thought that was coming with that, but oh well.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like it's kind of start to branch up, but I think that's okay if it branches off like a little bit. But it can just come back to more topic. It's like I don't know why else. I think because I was starting with the concept of like, with the stealing. Because how do you accept like how does someone like you can we're coming back to boundaries and things.
Yeah.
And then like also the overall acceptance and like what's preventing people. I don't know. I'm like thinking about how that ties in because like I think it sort of ties into. It can tie into it. I'm trying to figure out how and where here. Um,
I like
because
where you're trying to go with that.
maybe and not like an overall, but just like kind of like a subsection of like
Mm-hmm.
it's like where like as far as like because I think about acceptance is that's what gives people the space to actually be able to communicate. I guess as well.
Well, I guess tying it back with your boundaries and stuff, like what's that? Yes, you can accept things from another person, but like here's where that self acceptance come from. It's like recognizing your boundaries and treating them with just as much respect as you would for somebody else offering their opinion or worldview. Would be like, okay, while I respect that, or like, but this, and this, and why? Because I respect and appreciate me, my
Mm-hmm.
existence, my values, like.
Right. Okay. Now I think that gives me a thought process. Then.
I guess that acceptance for that
Right.
acceptance of stuff. So like these boundaries actually mean
Yeah.
something
Well,
in a
because
sense.
like how I view my boundaries, internal boundaries, some things I may have things that this is how I process acceptance of other people usually, and it's like I can go inside. I can have boundaries still, but like even with those boundaries, sometimes I can still see where that other thing's coming from the other person because I can still see it within me. I just choose not to act on that particular thing within me. So
And
it's
there's that
like
we were talking about like you or like how I was saying like the acceptance of thought. Like yes, that's a part of me, and I accept that, but I don't have to.
yeah, it's like I don't embrace. I don't necessarily like it, but I have. It's accept it because it's part of me. I don't necessarily, and that's where I can go. Okay, so I see someone else. Just like, well, I can see where that I can relate to if it's, especially if they're owning up to it. I can relate to that because usually because I can see. Well, I can see in a situation where that could be. I can see that part of me somewhere, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily mean like I'm acting on or thinking or want to do that thing. It's
Right.
just yeah, and so
Again, appreciating the human experience and like we're all flawed and imperfect, so a little grace and forgiveness is always. I don't know. I feel like that actually goes a long way. Not
yes,
that you overextend it because that's how you get what's that?
taken advantage of.
Exactly. But at the same, but like that again, that's just balance, healthy balance.
Yeah,
Like,
because that is the thing that can happen. Like some people can notice that in you, and then that could happen that way. But that's again, you have to it's a one to watch the pattern on that. I think
mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
are they actually getting something? There's something that's is there any? But anyway, yeah, are there any changes or whatever? But yeah, um, but yeah. So okay, let's see how else would you want to branch off into acceptance here? Or where what other parts of accept? What else is there to accept? Or how do we want to do? How do we want to look at it?
Well, do you want to tie back to that conversation we were having the other night about like, or like with our friends, like about pride and stuff like that, like the acceptance? Because I didn't know this until she brought it up.
Mm,
Um, because yeah, she's bi, but like I didn't realize. Which this is totally anecdotal. Like I don't know to the extent. But it just came up as a thought of like actual acceptance, and I can tell whenever I'm out of touch with like culture in the sense of like the LGBTQ community. Like yes, I'm gay, but like I don't. I'm off in my own world. Like that's not something that actually concerns me. Probably as much as it should concern me in a sense. But like whenever she brought up that because she's married to her straight husband and like how she felt like she wasn't accepted at like whenever what pride festival did she go to? Wasn't that an SF or
she did mention SF, but it could be another one she went to specifically. But I remember we were talking about SF though, or San
right?
Francisco, right? Yeah.
Yes, and I feel like that I think that's what she was referencing, and I thought to myself like that is so horrible. Like I thought we were supposed to preach like what's that? Like I don't think pride should be this is still personal, but I don't think pride should be the actual message, but like acceptance
Yes,
in that respect. So like this love and appreciation for everybody. Like just because you're straight doesn't mean we shouldn't love and accept and appreciate.
exactly. I think it is. I think I would love to see something more like wholesome like that, where it's more about acceptance, love for everybody, like just human existence in general or something. It's like and
Like
differences.
LGBT, like Q, they call it a community. Like I'd like to see more community.
Yes.
Like that's good. We're having all of these dividing issues of like whether it's certain books and school systems and stuff like that. Well, like what's that? At the end of the day, I think that's the parents' issues to deal with, but at the same time, like our mission should be preaching acceptance and just appreciation for
Hmm.
other people.
You know what? That really, I think that almost does. I do now. I am thinking more about how that would. You know. Yeah. Now I know why our art's gonna be called. Is that
I don't know, I just love it because like
my mind is spinning? My mind just went into a daydream world there. Could this be? Where could this go? Like I was thinking something so freaking big that's like crazy, but it's like
much potential in that. It's not this limiting belief, and we talk about that in therapy a lot. And like, what do we hold ourselves to, or like I don't know. This world is so crazy, chaotic, and in my opinion, fluid. Like, why
imagine
couldn't we?
having like a celebration so much bigger than even like any of the federal holidays or anything. It's more about
I,
acceptance of human nature or human
exactly.
existence. Like one that's like
Okay.
everybody's invited, it's celebrate everybody.
Exactly. Now, what's that? We can get like, oh, here's where religion gets divisive, I guess. But like, what's that? Even in America, like, yeah, we like everybody's off for Christmas or whatever. I don't think that's like a nationally agreed upon. Like, yeah, we all support this day, and it comes back to like our views of holidays in the sense of like I'm off, I don't care,
Yeah.
but like I guess give humanity a reason to care. And now here's where we get into the issues of like other religions not being like as accepted. And this is where I get in the sense of like organized religion, not religion itself. Like I appreciate like the great art that religion has provided for this world and new like thoughts, like the mythos of trying to like what's that understand what you don't actually know because science can only take us so far and we're still evolving and growing over time. So we're not gonna know, and we're not gonna know everything. Where was I going with this thought? Oh yeah. Um, and so like would it be harder for like acceptance like what is that? Acceptance overall? Yes, I wouldn't see it as like a groundbreaking like, oh yeah, everybody's on board. But like I feel like the definitions need to be a lot like people need to be a lot more concise with their words. So like if I say acceptance, well I'm gonna give you this whole spiel of like
Right.
what like to the bounds of I think what the definition of acceptance should be. I don't think it should be all free willy nilly because like
I
it's
want actually maybe there needs to be like a subheading part of that. Like maybe it's like because I do think acceptance, but I do think boundaries are very important still.
yes,
So
yes,
it's like I feel like they almost need to coexist in there in that
but
same
that
pattern.
right, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's like balancing the self and the collective because both
Yes.
are vitally important.
Because
And
even if there was some holiday about accept, I want still people to be able to act on their boundaries, as well, but still be accept in that. Like they can accept the other person's differences but they keep their own boundaries.
right,
They don't necessarily have to take on whatever the other person's trying to accept
no,
or
and that
wanting to
goes
be
both
accepted.
ways. I would force myself onto people, and I don't want it to be
Yeah,
forced
don't force it
control.
on me. It's like hey, like oh, it's like hey, it's like you know, that's wonderful. And so, but it's okay to hang if I hang over here instead. It's like, or with this person's like, I still love you though. It's like we can talk about it, or we can talk about these things. You can explain, or maybe even you can explain it to me, and then I just like that's cool. That's cool. But I feel this way about it, but I still love you.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
I feel like that's also oh yeah. Besides acceptance, like I think. what is it? Between you and me, our overarching message is love. At
I'm
the
glad
end
you
of
said
the
that. For some reason, like I felt like that was actually the bigger message that was probably at play. But
yes,
like,
it's the big message, like love for humanity and all of its faults and flaws, and love for just
because I look at these topics and I'm like, these topics look more like subsections of love.
yes.
Like even acceptance on its own is a subsection of love. I think.
Right. And you and me talk about like what our love for each other means. Like we're the
Yeah.
best of friends, but like what's that? We all I feel like yeah, this subject of love is gonna like continue on down the way as we like explore into this. But
Yes.
yes, our overall message I guess is love. Because and love means for the self, for others, for all the little things in life to appreciate. And
And plus love goes across like cultures and it goes across
it's,
like nations and everything. So,
it's something so intrinsic within you. Like it's part of the human experience, I
yes.
guess. I would say that. Like it's one of those things that just like you say crosses all boards.
Yes. Because it'd be wonderful, like, because like there's that's a whole there's like so many topics I could think of in there that I just don't know that I feel like I need to reflect over even more.
We'll have to like
Yeah,
you are gonna have to get together and be like, all right, each category like subtopic we're gonna have to go with that one because like
I can
I
already
feel like
see this as like there's gonna be expansive.
yes, very extensive. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to flesh that one out. Like, ugh. At least we have this shared like reminder thing or like a
Yes,
topic.
because like
That's so we're gonna have to create another subsection for that one just to like add into like, wait, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about? I haven't. Let me like brainstorm this one.
this is where we can also have like even if like maybe it's like maybe let's say this is overall theme of like this love. But everybody's like maybe there's different times where you spend in each category. You're just working through like I need to work on this part of love, this part of love, this part of love. You kind of work
Right.
through them. Like I may need a little more acceptance in my life. Maybe more like patience in my life. Maybe more gratitude in my life. It's like
Oh, and I'm glad you brought up gratitude because that was also on my mind as well. Of like certain pairings, like love and gratitude. Like I feel like love and gratitude can sometimes be synonymous. It's like
they're almost are. When I've done a lot of when I've done research on it, like it seems they're almost equal in a way. Like as far as like the overall like emotion that's supposed to be involved with it too,
mhm.
because it's like although grateful is like is a state it's pretty much a state of having and not lacking though still. It's like
Right. But that's why I always say, like, I'm just so grateful that you exist or
yes.
whatever. Me expressing, I guess, love for, like, thank God, because you add so much love and value to this world that I'm just
I think
happy to.
sometimes in love, I sometimes I even get challenged in it because like I don't know if this is where I get challenged because sometimes like if I'm struggling with this idea where I don't feel like I'm being as strong in love or I feel like I strong in it at one time. Some reason I can like when I'm able to bring it back by going to a gratitude. And I go to gratitude, I get more. I can get into a more content state and less resistive state while going
Yes.
there, and then like somehow the love kind of starts to flow back in when I kind of get back into that. So like
I think you do better at that than I do. Like, whenever you bring up, like, a gratitude meditation or something, it's like, damn, I wish I would think of that whenever I'm, like, down or depressed or something like,
well, it's because like
like,
love, because like I think a lot of cause still there's probably still subconscious things about love that I haven't processed that like that might be more of a tradition like maybe traditional ways of looking at that I don't even haven't processed yet like that might make it hard for me to
mhm.
understand. But like when I start going in each like subsection of like what it is, I start to look at it individually. It's easier to start to try to unwind some things that might whether it's been like programmed through movies or this or that then it's like because there could be emotions that are programmed through things like that you don't know why you feel this way about love.
Right, and I feel like movies, like especially if you look at like Disney princess movies, love them. They're great, but I think most movies have a misconception of like what love is. It's not a fairy tale, and maybe this is like more of a cynical outlook on it. But I think love is trial, pain, and error, but still loving it, like still appreciating acceptance and grateful for the other's existence at the end of the day.
Right. I do think that love overall can still be a really positive emotion, though. But yeah,
It
but I think it requires you to delve into those difficult emotions and work
Right.
through them to get to them. Because what I've found when you work through those emotions, like let's say you're like with someone that you love or whatever, and like say like, whether it's like a past, your current situation or like a past person. Anytime I've ever worked through something difficult, the love it gets like it almost gets to me. It usually gets a little bit stronger. Almost like the emotion gets a little stronger, I guess you can say,
Yes.
behind it. And like
Right.
so it's like the emotion part of love. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that whether the love that's actually right or wrong. I'm just saying the emotional part of love
Yes.
in the body.
What
Yeah.
what love can cause like many great reactions to take place, whether it's I use great as in it could be really good or it can be really bad.
Yeah.
But like what's that? I'm pretty sure we've all done some pretty crappy things out of love. And I'm gonna quote that because that's a whole nother topic within itself. Like
Because
I'm
like
gonna
sometimes is it love or is it selfishness?
right or like yeah, codependency, narcissism, like all this other stuff
Yeah.
like
It's like
that.
or like maybe you're
Another
projecting
thing.
your view of love of what they should be doing to you onto you. It's like yeah or whatever or how they should be treating you. But the only thing
Right.
you really can change in that dynamic is how you're treating yourself and them.
Yes.
Regardless of how they do that. Regardless of what
And
the other they do, you have
oh
control over
no.
that yourself, and they can do what they want with that. At the end of the
Yeah.
day.
And man, this topic is ever extensive. Kind of like, and here you, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other topic in and of itself. Like,
There's a lot. You can tell like I've like there's a lot of topics I've like thought about. I just never really have a chance to really talk about them because it's
I
like
know we're going to replay this, and I'm going to like sit there and actually like write down where we're going with
oh
this,
yeah
and
because
like,
like I'll send you I'll whatever cloud platform I end up the link to, I'm gonna send you that link. I just have to figure out which one I want to do. I feel like I might actually go ahead and upgrade my cloud one and just like put it on there. That way I can just send them. That way it's easier access to your phone and everything. That way you're just gonna look at you just probably see it like in like a files or something, or however that's gonna be shared. We'll see how that looks, but yeah.
and I think to tie back to like again the reason why we're doing this, I guess this personalized chat between people is just to like have a good conversation, something intellectually stimulating, and eventually, like I guess where we want to go with this, I don't, and you feel free to chime in whenever, but like eventually want to start adding other people and like different perspectives, different professions, different
Yes.
like 'cause this world is so extensive and
Ooh
there's
yes. I mean, because like I think it would be good like to have conversations with just different people from different backgrounds, maybe different professions, maybe different like lifestyles, and like how their
yes,
experience on the whatever topic we're covering, what their experiences with it. Maybe they have a topic of their own they would like to share, and we can dive into that too. So it's like
right.
yeah,
So like eventually want to build this so everybody's learning, including us, because you're never gonna know everything. So
mm.
like, might as well start somewhere.
It's interesting because it's interesting because the more we talk, I'm like, it's like man, I'm starting to get like these feelings like there's lots more. This could actually go. This could be fun. This is gonna be fun. Regardless, it's gonna be fun. Like I love this topic about stuff regardless of what it actually looks like because this is where my head is a lot.
Right, and I bet there's so many other people out there that are like, oh my gosh, they said that, or like I've been thinking these thoughts too, and I don't know. I want people to be more comfortable feeling uncomfortable with the reality, because with that comes acceptance of your
Yes,
reality, and then you can move on. And
and just build a challenge like what a normal like society way looks at these different things like
yes,
what like because just because it's going that doesn't necessarily mean it's like it may be because it's a system and plus it's just worked but it doesn't necessarily like actually do like help emotionally help people or um, build people up maybe in a way maybe it worked for like a certain time period but maybe it's not something that maybe we need to keep working on maybe it needs to be it's like it's one of those things we evolve. I think you can just evolve kind of like the community, like just like maybe that. I don't say like definition, but just like how you process like what these things mean. Especially when we're in this place, we're in a time when there's like a lot more abundance of things. It's like easier when we can start diving into these topics and like how. Whereas
Mhm.
because not everything's about survival and stuff like it was.
No, and I feel like what's that? Yeah, now that we don't actually have to survive, like yes, we do. Oh, okay.
We still have a lot of people still
Oh,
do. That's the thing.
that's why I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna say that because I'm like,
Yeah, that's like when I say that, like I'm saying that from like an ignorance, is like I'm kind of being broad with the stroke, but actually, because
yes,
there's a lot of people, there's a lot of surviving still going on. Like most, like even like whether that's like doing difficult situations in other countries, or maybe it's even just barely surviving, like and not having enough free time to yourself after like a long day at work,
yes.
or dealing with responsibilities. That's survival too, in a way. Even if it looks more fancy, even if you're making a lot more money than people in other countries or not, you still might be in a survival state just because of
Well,
like the lifestyle.
exactly, and like, what's that? Just that they were doing something about like how the what is it? Like prices and inflation have increased, but neither has our like pay or
Yes.
salaries or any like actually increased linearly with the
Yes.
like
Like
with that. So it's like yeah, we might make more than other people, but like we if you can't afford to live in your own society, like you're still suffering.
yes, just because like just 'cause you have like nice buildings around you, or you might be in a nice like area or something, doesn't necessarily mean your mind's like free to do what it wants. It's still it's still maybe imprisoned in some sort of system that's around you. You know, it's like
Like I have to do my 9 to 5, and if that well, I don't know, I say 9 to 5, but if you're working two jobs as a single parent trying to make ends meet, or like a dual income family because you got to be able to support each other, and if you want, and that's still so much struggle because like somebody's got to keep that house clean and
I
like
know
if you
it's
got
like it's easy to think like they like even if they're in a nicer house or someone's rich, and you think like, oh well, like I mean like, the easy thing that most people think, well they they it's just because they have like more that they're not as stressed or whatever. But they're stressed for they might be stressed for different reasons though,
yeah,
or
we shouldn't
um,
invalidate anybody's
yeah,
distress because we're all different. We all handle distress.
yes,
Our and weaknesses are like they all vary. So
that's something. Maybe it's like maybe like, when it comes to acceptance, it's like it that's another thing. Except maybe just even like the different places people are in sometimes, because
yeah,
sometimes it's like I know like there's a thing about like well like because we make this or this maybe these poor people we got to treat them different, or these people over here treat them different.
mm,
It's like well sometimes it's like things I don't know if like life is cut and dry like on that kind of thing, how
it's
everybody still
not.
has their emotions, everybody still has
Yeah,
their issues, you know.
well, and like emotions are their own reality.
Yeah.
And stuff like if you feel some way, you're gonna feel some way. It doesn't matter what the external world says unless you actually. And that's another thing. Like with this channel, we want the emotion, but we want to think it through. Like it's perfectly natural and it's great to feel it through. But don't let that be what holds you down from like freeing yourself.
Yes.
So, like if there's an injustice, there's an injustice. It's right to be angry. It's right to feel frustrated. Now let's calm our brain down a bit and let's think about how we can overcome that so it's not something like yeah, exactly. Like there's yeah, because no one like nobody should be denying your experience, but you shouldn't be denying yourself of the possibility to change that experience either. So
Yes. Yes. Yes, and also like yeah, so like things like self responsible. I guess like so where it's like maybe it's like a responsible. Is that more like a self responsibility type thing? I guess we're kind of going to with
yourself,
that.
yeah, to yourself and to your immediate community because like let's just say you have a family or whatever, everybody's going to be impacted by that, especially the closer they are to you. Because why? I hope they care about you or you mean something in their lives. So if you if you're gonna better yourself, it's going to Okay. It might stroke some egos, and so you might get a little you might get some resentment for it, but at the same time, like those who actually do love and care and appreciate you are gonna benefit from you thriving. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's why it's good to like take care of and love yourself. And I know,
Yes. It
yeah.
is because that's also going to. I think that's a subject we can probably dive deeper on even when it comes to things like attachment styles and stuff too.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Because it's like I just remember some of the research I did that when you exposed me to like that thing. I was like, oh, this is starting to make a whole ton of sense. Okay, I understand where
Yeah.
this is coming. I understand why these feelings come up, and it's because yeah, yeah. It's
Very
amazing
important.
what happens when you start to like try to do something different with those feelings, and it's like and actually take care of yourself.
Right. And like a lot of it is just changing the narrative.
Yes, because I think that the biggest thing on that was just like, oh, well, maybe it's because you're used to look maybe like depending on what style especially if you're anxious, like you're used to looking for like other people to satisfy certain needs of yours. It's like,
Back to our codependency, which is another topic in and of
mm-hmm.
itself. I'm still not even done with all my research on that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, these are just kind of things, just like there's a little tip top. Like there's a lot to there's a lot of rabbit holes.
many, and I hope, at least my hope is that people will be like willing to share stuff with that because it'd be like, oh, what's that? Because sometimes I don't know about you, but I always feel like I'm missing something in a logic stream or like a stream of logic because like we've discussed like my extroverted thinking is completely blind to me in that like cognitive function stack, and so I was like, it's not linear or like my thought like my thoughts and thinking are all over the place and fluid. Like, do they have a rhyme and reason? Yes, but it's not streamlined at all.
It's
So
really weird. When I actually I actually kind of like when I try to picture about how my thought process goes when I'm on a tangent. I don't know why. I just feel like I'm watching this thing. So like we start like say we was talking about abundance or something. I'm like if I was to try to draw a mental map, it's like this kind of thing going off. Like they're just like it's like off and off and off and off. But it's like it's sort of connected, but it's not. But it's like it's all over. But it's like branching. Like okay, maybe come back on. And I was like.
yes, like it all builds off of one point, so it's all connected, but it's moving outward, and that's the difference between introverted intuition and extroverted intuition. So like, I'm trying to synthesize. Like, I need something to like go in one direction. You're over here like, what did you think about this? Now it's all connected with this. And I'm like,
This and this and this. Well, it's because like it's building, but it's going somewhere, but it's may not. It's maybe going way off.
hey, how'd you get over there? I don't know. Like,
We're not talking about year 2045 now. I was like, let's see. No, not just like it's like somehow branches off and somehow now we're somehow in the future somewhere going. Like,
45. How old will I be? I need to do that math. Let's see.
I don't want to do that math. I'm not going to.
Okay, I'm not gonna go there then. I'm sorry. Let's see if um.
I'm almost to that point when someone asks me, I'm just gonna start to affirming to myself, I'm 29. Forever.
42.
29. All right, someone asks me 29. 29.
29.
I'll just affirm myself forever. That way, maybe I'll reverse my age somehow.
Yeah, remember what I was telling you about? So, like that says like I'll be 41 or whatever. It's like, well, all twinks die at age 30 anyway. That is such a sad reality to think about. So I'm gonna keep that in the background.
Yeah, don't think about that one too hard.
So we can go off on that subject another day.
We can think about that. Yeah, like we could. Yeah, I don't want to think about that one too. I would not think about that one too hard. No.
Oh my. This world is so crazy. I don't know. There's so much good. You just have to look for it. And there's where that gratitude comes in.
The things that you already have.
Exactly. And also just like not being so serious.
Mm-hmm. It's
And I'm not saying like don't be serious in the sense like it's not valid in terms
right.
of logic and feelings, but like at the end of the day, you're one person. So a little humility and appreciation, like maybe not appreciation, but a little humility is like not that you can't impact the world, but you need to start with your circle first.
Yes.
That sometimes that circle might be just as small as you. Like that circle can grow over time, but it has to start with you. So
Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, that's definitely where it's starting to have to start for me because like I don't because my circle is small, so it's like
one of the
maybe like mine's like even if like but even from interact like people I don't talk to, I at least try like I don't know little bits I do. um, I like thinking about that from the little bits that I do interact. I don't know. I think I just I do want it to come from a place of like where it's like just making the other person smile or something, make them laugh, or even just like letting them be like letting them talk. Even just let them talk sometimes.
that has a profound impact on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, and again, coming back to that acceptance is because like just letting people talk and express themselves. I don't know about other people's perspective, but the way I look at it, because like every time I do that for somebody, they talk like they've never been allowed to talk to that extent, and it actually express themselves, which I find very disheartening. Because I'm like, that's tragic. Like people, I want people to be more free and accepting of themselves to the point where it's like I don't give a fuck if I tell somebody
Yeah.
like what I'm thinking or feeling or like this thought process I've been mulling over or whatever. Like it's obviously important to you. Share it. Like
There's a
if it
reason
means
why it is. Something's on here telling you that's important because it probably is important to them. It's like and like just and it's like and also like sometimes talking when you talk it out, it does help. It also does help to bring logic to it, maybe a little bit. Maybe hearing it out also. It
but that's the beauty of people, I guess, whenever I think about it from like whenever I do therapy or like from a therapeutic perspective of just letting another person talk, they can fix and solve a lot just by externally thinking it through and emoting.
yeah. So like yeah, and that's one area that I have had always struggled with. That like when I come to interact, my ability to interact with other people, um, I didn't think about things like that from that angle very often for a long time, but that is the probably like if you like also especially if you're struggling to like actually meet people and stuff. One of the best ways is just to let like give the other person space to talk sometimes,
Hmm.
and it's like sometimes even just that has an impact. Like even if you have something to say yourself, that's fine, but like not every but you like yeah you could look at it like well, why didn't the other person do it or something, but well someone has to start it. Why not
Exactly.
be the person that starts it then?
Right.
Like you have that control, so do it. Then you're aware of it, then do it. Let that like they may not be aware of it, but maybe you are, and that helps. Maybe whether or not that changes, it's up to them. But you still in control of that. So
Yes. Well, and accept what was it? Accept the possibility of rejection.
yeah,
Because what's that? We're not going to get along with everybody.
yes,
But the more willing you are to open yourself up and put yourself out there, like-minded is going to gravitate to what like you have to put that energy out into the
hmm
universe so that energy is picked up and like it may take some time, but it's going to start closing in and gravitating towards you. Like you put
yes.
that energy out
Put it out
there.
there because they'll pick up. People pick up on it.
Exactly. I'm looking at all of you introverts. It's
Yes.
not you.
Well, you know what? That's a good
Yeah.
chance. I think the reason I was like, friends, like, well, you know what? I feel like a lot of
But
I
even
know
for
for me as an introvert, I find stuff like this. Go like I have to do a lot of my research with social situations are on the internet because it's just like it's not easy to get. Now for me, it's not easy for me just to go up and kind of like try to figure this stuff out in the open.
yes, which what's that? There is trial
Yeah,
by
it's
error,
trial, but it's sometimes
and
nice
which
to know where to start or pick a topic to start with to work on. and it's like,
Well, for me being like a more what is it? INFJ, so I've got that extroverted feeling that personable approach. I know I can get away with certain things socially because of like how I present it. So I'm able to. I feel like I can get away with more of that trial by error. But then this is where the acceptance from other people would have to come in. So like I've noticed like with more thinking types, especially introverted thinking, like they need I don't know, a little more, I guess, grace and acceptance. So just like let them go, like let them
yeah.
ramble and think, like just let them be, like let it go, like it's fine. But again, that takes the acceptance of other people. I find that like I could see that being a difficulty. Not saying that the introverted feelers don't need that. We do, but I feel like we navigate it differently, I guess. But then again, I bring it up to the fact that, like, yeah, I'm a higher TI user INFJ, so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
the logic. I love the feelings, but like, I want the logic. Like, so, which is probably why I get along with like thinker types a lot better. Because it's like just vibing, like, and this logic, I guess, of like, oh, that makes total sense. Oh,
Personality cognition. That's a fun topic.
we're gonna have to go into that one of these days, and that's where I'm willing to think. Like, I feel like I've learned a lot over the years of like delving into this, but I know there's so much more. And I just now started getting into Enneagram types, and I'm still not even like done piecing out all of that
How'd you?
information.
So, you probably brought this up before, but like, where'd you go to figure out the Enneagram stuff? Like, where did you start going in that route? Like, how do you find
What
out that
led me
stuff?
was listening to other types and INFJs, like other YouTubers out there mention it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that mean?
But
Or
like,
like,
what did you end up like? How did you end up going about to start finding out yours?
I just originally took a test because I thought,
Mm.
well, if it's personable, I might pick up on it
Okay.
quicker or understand it. And then it originally, like at first, it tested me, or like the test was like, you're a four-wing five, and I was like, okay. I read the little descriptions, like, okay, I can relate to that. And so then I like started like looking online, like and through YouTube, like listening to other four-wing fives, especially
Yeah.
like INFPs with four-wing fives, is like, yeah, I can see it, but like they felt like there was something missing, and then I was looking around, I was like, well, what if we just flip it or something like that? I like, what's that description based off? It's because like, well, I do like this description. It's like, well, let me go look around for some other, and I found this one INFJ who was a five wing for her name is Tori, and I was like, somebody relate to, like this all makes sense, like, ooh, like doing a
Ooh.
little like trying like doing some vetting process of like and like but that brings back to like my point of like why I don't like the 16 personality types because it always mistypes me as an INTJ, and I'm like, I don't share those two
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
like I love INTJs out there, love them to death, like they add so much joy to my world, but I like major
I know you have
weaknesses.
certain love-hate relationships with certain with personality types, so yeah.
I do, but like that's neither here nor
But
there.
the
And
thing about it, like, sometimes I was like, I want to, but there's still a lot of there's still individuals even with the personality types. Each of them have their own kind of background. They may develop things differently too, So
like, just because I don't appreciate most ESTJs, or like I do love and appreciate them as individuals, but like how they operate in the world and like how they impact me,
mm-hmm.
typically I don't appreciate it. Typically, because it just rubs me wrong in some way, and it's like, yes, it is that extroverted thinking paired with that introverted sensing, and like it feels weird, or like I don't see the world through that, so it's like it makes it a little difficult. Not do
You
I
know how much
appreciate
it costs? Oh, this. Oh, never mind. I'll talk about that later.
what?
I was like, one day I was just like going through because I saw like some of these channels that you go and you watch. Some of them have these certified or whatever. Like,
I saw that.
I went to go look, and I'm like, oh my, $3,500 to go through this process to get like officially MBTI.
It's like whenever the way I look at it is like, Joyce Ming, the YouTuber we like.
Yeah,
I love her stuff, and I was trying to do some research into like what she actually does. And I'm like, I would love that. Like this is
I
like
saw that because actually, it's funny. The reason why I looked, because I was like, this is fast. And my brain is like loving this topic. Like, what do you do to get in? How do you have to do to be able to do something like what they're doing?
and that's I'm giving my own personal take.
Yes,
But I'm not gonna say I'm a certified
Yeah.
practitioner. Like no, this is just like the research
yeah,
I've done over the years and like the social experiments I've done on the people around me and stuff. But like, how does it all tie in? What's the process? What's the comment? Like, I'm trying to understand it all.
right.
I
Yeah,
don't have
so-
a very textbook or script.
Yeah, I mean, but I was just curious. I was like, because I was curious, like, what kind of background she have to be doing what she's doing. So I'm just kind of seeing where she's coming from, or what led her to what she's doing now. I'm just kind of like, oh, interesting.
I guess a plug. I don't know if this is right or wrong or not, so whatever. But like, if you want, especially for you INFJs or just anybody who wants to like more delve into cognitive function, not just INFJ, everybody, like whoever wants to more delve into like more cognitive function, I highly recommend Joyce Ming on YouTube. Great topics, and I love how she like runs through with all the different types because some have more strengths than this or that, some are weaker, and then they all connect. Like it's, oh my gosh, my brain just goes on fire. It's like, oh,
It's fun. Like there's so many different ones I go down. Like I get fascinated. Like I have so many that I have to. It's easy for me to get stuck on one because I get fascinated with certain cognition, just kind of going down it. But
yes,
there's a lot more, and there's like, plus you got to hear different perspectives of it because, also it's just because what one person thinks they might be, or they might be this, or their view of it is maybe someone else's. So you got to kind of like start to put together like what's the overall picture of each cognition as well. It's like because tests are not always, and people's opinion of the test. Like I'm sure even certified ones might have struggles with getting types right. Probably, I'm guessing 100% maybe. Or do you think they would be? Because like
very, and like you saw in the tests that you were doing.
Yes, the closest one I've had was the one that like the one I did like was the one where I could do like a slight slider, like because like well maybe sometimes, but like I don't know. I was like, but it's like this. Right. I'm like unfortunately, and like so I don't know. I just like I have what most of the tests have said they think I have a lot in me, but I just. But I didn't want to leave it at that. It was one of those things where I'd want to come back in like a week or two and see how I process it differently. Because like sometimes certain things, or maybe maybe you're getting certain stimuli that might bring out one or the other. So it's like, or if you're like listening to content about a certain one, you don't want to actually project some of that onto it. You want to actually still feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I like the ones I've been trying. The first one I know I did. I don't know if I've been trying to do it from the lens of what I feel inside, not what I'm projecting outside, though. Because I feel like because I feel like what's inside is more real than what's I'm actually just whatever like mask or whatever people do on the outside. Everybody has them. Like I do. I will. When I admit that, it's going to be how it is, how I operate. But it is just
right. There's that's that's what I was telling you. Like I don't type people on first appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Like until I start getting to know you or talk to you, like actually develop a relationship to where I'm actually like like studying you and like trying to like map out patterns I've seen over time, and it's like, no, this is my best educated guess, and usually by then I'll tell you like you thought like I told you like what I thought yours was, and you do the research of like looking into it, like, oh, I do relate to that, or like I do see that within me. And again, there's still many other variables and factors of like how well developed or like how well rounded you are in your type, I guess. So like
that told you, like the one that gave me the weighted ones, I had like 3 that the scores were like almost next to each other, and I was like, this is not going to help me at all.
Like, no, well, exactly. That's why I didn't think that was a good one, and it should be more of a personalized like what you notice within yourself to be a lot stronger. And again, that still takes a little bit of objectiveness for yourself or objectivity for
Yeah.
yourself?
I don't, but I just did some ones that were just recommended on Reddit because like. Either way, like I said, I'm not gonna like I don't know much around. It's one of those things where I just kind of keep playing with it because like it's just fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like if I don't know what I am half the time.
What's our time on this one?
I don't think there is a time thing set. I don't think there's a way we can really check it. But I can tell you, I can look at the how long the thing's been recording.
Yes.
I think
I didn't want
an
this
hour
to
and
be
5 minutes.
an hour and 5 minutes. Ooh, okay. Well, let's wrap it up right here. So the point of this was the topic of acceptance, appreciating thought, humanity, and everybody around us. And yeah, this is just our start. So like many more topics, discussions to come. Can't wait to invite people and like other perspectives on this channel as well. It'll just be more. I feel it'll be fun, and we can all learn and grow
Yes.
from it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
Um, I think you said it pretty good there, and yeah, it's like yeah, I don't have a conclusion right here right now. Yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, what is it? Our plans are to like maybe post, yeah, like post on YouTube. What'd you say, Twitch?
I think that's still up for discussion. We're still figuring that out. Let's say that. We're
Right,
figuring it out.
and at least hopefully might try like Instagram Reels. That way, there's still like some like where you can get snippets of certain conversations, and well, we're gonna see how this goes, and like I know like it'll be a work in
Yeah.
progress. So lots of
Okay.
love for
Yeah.
humanity. Thank you for your time. Hope you have a good day. Stay sane, stay safe. Bye.
Uh, let's see how I do this thing here. I just kept the stop broadcast.